Welcome, race fans, back to Pit Stop TV. We are live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch tonight. Cole Freilich and Emerson Ardon with me in the booth. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is Pit Stop TV's live coverage of the SRCA IndyCar World Series from Pocono Raceway. We join you tonight from the virtual Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania for round 9 of 15 in SRCA's IndyCar division. Pocono is famous for its triangle shape and 3 unique corners and straightaways, featuring a Turn 1 modeled after Trenton, a Turn 2 to mimic that of Indianapolis, and a Turn 3 paying homage to Milwaukee. Pocono has and continues to challenge even the best racing drivers in the world since it opened in 1971. Cole, the SRCA IndyCar World Series most recently was on track at Chicagoland Speedway, a race that initially had seemed like it might go calm, and ended with a short run to the end en route to yet another win for Rick Ravon, his 5th win on the season.
Yeah, and it's going to be much like Chicagoland tonight. We got a bit of a warmer track. 123 degrees Fahrenheit is the track temp, so it's going to be very slick, and it's going to be very tight for these Indy cars. Well, speaking of Rick Ravon, he's going to be on the front row, but not pole, because that will go to Will Klein, and Rick Ravon's going to start second. Spencer Madden will be third. David Shutt fourth. Oldest Pudiclis will round out your top 5, and Nicholas Lavelle will round out the cars that took time in P6.
Heading back to row 4, you get Daniel Falkingham and Spencer Owens. A little bit further back in your top 10, we're going to have Tom Mercier and Jared Darling. Outside of the top 10, though, row 6, you get Sheldon Lockie and, well, Cole Freilich. You are, interestingly, on the grid there in P12. A little further back, though, Elijah Grassi, he'll start 13. Scott Shire will bump up to 12th. Caden Henry Oaks will start 15th. Justin Ford bumps up to 14th then. Rafael Sabara 17th. Howie DeTrey will get the bump up to 16th. And Emerson Ardon, well, you're in the booth with us tonight. Emerson, it's good to have you. Your first time here on Pit Stop TV.
I'm glad to be here. Can't wait to see these IR18s take 2 of the track tonight here at Pocono. It's going to be a blast tonight. They like to fan out and draft here a lot. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, that it will. And Cole, we've been along for the ride for most of the SRCA season now, be it in these Indy cars or the Pro Mazdas. And tonight we finally get back on track with SRCA. We've had a rocky month or so, a couple of weeks back. Actually, last week we missed the Pro Mazda race at Road Atlanta. A couple of weeks before that, we missed it at Laguna Seca. Interestingly enough, we've just been covering Indy cars for the last month here in the SRCA group of leagues. But tonight, I think will still be a pretty darn good show, and we'll be back next week for Lime Rock with the Pro Mazdas. Regardless, ready to roll off for 60 laps, and Rick Ravon leading us down to the green. Or actually, no, Spencer Madden. Sorry, I'm getting all mixed up.
Yeah, Will Klein has elected to start from the pits, so Spencer Madden's actually going to lead us down here. But yeah, you mentioned us covering a lot of IndyCar content as of late, and it's kind of fitting because this is the month of May. This is when in real life they would be hitting the speedway in Indiana, and sadly that's not the case this year with everything going on, but we at least get to see these cars racing virtually, so it's going to definitely be a fun race tonight. We got 60 laps, and it'll definitely be interesting to see if Rick can get his 6th win of the season or if a new face will take the trophy tonight.
Right, we'll have 16 cars lining up here behind the pace truck, getting ready to go here at Pocono. Yeah, we're gonna have to watch the run down to turn 1. It's gonna be hectic as all these guys are gonna be slipstreaming down the straightaway, trying to get every spot they can on the start.
So as these guys roll through turn 3 again, modeled after Milwaukee. You saw these guys roll through turn 1. That's Trenton, then Indianapolis, and down to Milwaukee. A really good, I think, plethora of corners here for these guys to roll through. Of course, you'll see the what turn 4 sign out of turn number 3 as these guys roll onto the front straightaway and get ready to go rolling tonight for 60 laps in the Indy cars. Spencer Madden leading us to the green flag. Rick Ravon to his outside. Oldest Pudiclis third. And green flag is out. They're off and away here at Pocono.
And David Shutt already looking to the outside of Rick Ravon for that 2nd position. He's going to try to make it 3 wide. A lot of these cars are going to fan out. One car way down there. That's Caden Henry Oaks in the back. Spencer Madden leads them into turn 1.
His side-by-side favorite back behind the race leader. Madden and Shutt are going at it for 2nd.
These cars ducking and diving down the back straightaway, getting single file now for turn 2. It's pretty darn tight. Again, modeled after Indianapolis, but it doesn't drive like Indianapolis. You have completely just different feelings in the corners. These guys have to get down to about a single file line through that corner, the tunnel turn as it's known, and it definitely throws drivers for a loop. To complete lap 1, we're going to have Spencer Madden leading the way across the start-finish line. Rick Ray Vaughn in tow. Then it's David Schutt, Daniel Falkingham, and Aldous Putcliffe rounding out your top 5. Nicholas Lovell back there in 6th. Then it's Spencer Owens, Tom Mercier, Elijah Gracia, and Jared Darling as Rick Ray Vaughn puts a big move on Spencer Madden into turn 1. He'll take away the lead, and David Schutt falls into 3rd behind now Spencer Madden.
Yeah, that really got Spencer out of the groove there, because you do not want to move up, especially with this tight, or with the hot track conditions right now. That car is very tight as he goes way wide through the tunnel turn. Ooh, that was a very hairy moment. And the tunnel turn, you mentioned it's modeled after Indianapolis. If it's modeled after any corner at that track, it is turn 1, because that is one of the toughest corners in all of racing.
That's going to allow Falkingham to get into 3rd, but actually don't look too soon. Back up on the high side, he'll have a run down to front straightaway. That's Madden trying to take that 3rd spot right back. Falkingham on the inside into 1, though, has preferred line.
And now Aldous Putcliffe showing his nose into this battle for P3 as Falkingham's going to wash out wide out of turn 1. Madden gets a run down the bottom side. Putcliffe's going to try and shove his way into now 4th position for a moment underneath Falkingham. Now underneath Madden going into turn 2. Aldous Putcliffe's trying to go for 3rd. It's only lap 3 and these guys are racing like it might be for the win. Madden gets the position out of the corner but nearly tags that wall on exit.
Very impressive run by Spencer to get the spot back on the outside. You wouldn't really think you can do that in the tunnel turn, but you're carrying so much momentum in these cars. If you hit it just right, you can do that. So Spencer's going to go back up to, I believe, 3rd place. Yes, indeed. And David Schutt will be 2nd. Rick Ray Vaughn still leads as they head off into turn 1.
You see Falkingham now having to file into line behind 666 of Aldous Putcliffe. And Spencer Owens now joining this battle as well. It looks like a multi-car battle here. And I believe it's starting to shape up for the 3rd position still.
So Spencer Owens now showing his name into this battle. Nicholas Lovell won't be too far behind as these cars, I think, they obviously play play into pack racing at Indianapolis, but you don't always see it here at Pocono. You definitely see the first few cars usually go out and separate themselves and then kind of just a single file line. These guys might be pack racing here shortly as you see that big draft that Falkingham gets down the front straightaway, able to go up underneath Aldous Putcliffe to challenge for that 4th position. We're going to see Owens and Lovell here doing the same shortly as Owens actually going to wash out a bit wide out of turn 1. Looked like he got a little bit of an arrow push, washed out towards the wall, keeps it out of the fence though, and is going to continue to try and work his way here by Daniel Falkingham. That would be for 5th. Further back, I do want to mention the 14 of Elijah Gracia starting to work his way up into the front of the field here, Cole. Started a little further ways back, but currently into 8th.
Yeah, Elijah always doing, or he's kind of doing what we usually see him do, just right around mid-pack for now. But towards the end of the race, you'll see his car start to get up to the top 5. I believe at Chicagoland, he was actually taken out, so because he was having a pretty solid run there, but unfortunately just got caught up in an accident and was mired of a really good finish that race.
You see Falkingham, Owens, Lavelle. Now it's a 3-car battle for this 5th position as 3rd and 4th place they started to pull away, and you have a whole train of cars starting to try to get into this battle for the 5th position. It's about to get hectic here as we work lap number 6.
An issue there for Spencer Owens puts him back into 7th place, falling into the clutches possibly here of Elijah Grossi, just about 2 3/4 tenths back as they go through turn 3. But yeah, some kind of issue there for the 1 car. Gives that position to Nicholas Lovell for now. So the 83 move him up into 6th place. And he's going to try to see if he can do something there with Daniel Falkingham. This field still snaking all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack, down the front and back straightaways. Not so much down the back still. I will say, I really thought these guys would be snaking around a little more. And then I say that, and you're going to see Rick Ray Vaughn, David Schutt, and Spencer Madden all go down to the bottom side of the racetrack down the straightaway. And tell everybody why that's so important here, Cole.
Really just the draft. Well, we call it the draft snake. That's really just trying to break the draft of your opponent. And that can also kind of cause an arrow push into the corner. So that way they can kind of get off, or you can kind of get away a little bit because they get that arrow wash heading into the corner. But you will see guys like David Schutt. If he gets the run on Rick Ray Vaughn, he will try to duck out just a little bit to that inside. Try to get as much clean air as he can because that will definitely help the car turn. because aero is such a key factor in these cars. You get like if you get a bad like string of air heading through, say the tunnel turn as they're coming up to right now, that can really just shove your car all the way to the outside wall, especially in these hot track conditions where the track has now gone up 2 degrees from where we started this race.
Yeah, more on the aero push. It can really mess up a driver's momentum, just getting that aero push out of nowhere. You either have to let off the throttle entirely or you're going to end up in that outside barrier. You see Falcon is actually starting to walk away from this battle a little bit, and same with Nicholas Lavelle.
So Rick Rayvon going to continue to lead now through 8 laps of 60. On board right now with Aldous Puticlus as he tries to flank this race car around this 2.5-mile triangle super speedway. A little further up, we'll actually go up to Spencer Madden here. You might be able to see the leaders a little better. There are 2 tiny dots on your screen, but you're going to see Rick Rayvon and David Shutt continue to play with the draft, and it's really good insight there from you guys, and I really have to wonder if we ever get a caution and restart, how these guys are going to play that into turn 1. Of course, we saw how they fanned out into turn 1 to start the race. Obviously, that's the start of the race, though. It's only lap 1. When you get down to crunch time, get down to when you might be racing for the win, it's going to be a little bit different. These guys are going to try some different moves. That being said, right now through 9 laps of 60 on to lap 10, and right now the whole field pretty well single file.
Yeah, for the most part, they are single file. That's definitely accustomed to the track being so hot right now and the cars being so tight. But towards the end of the race, we may see it get a little closer. I think right now everybody's kind of trying to play the tire game like we saw at Chicagoland, because we didn't expect it at the time, but tires were a huge factor there. And with how the corners are designed here, in turn 1 especially, you kind of got like a drop-off and into a pretty much 180 corner. So you really got to take care of your equipment here, especially to try to make it into a longer run so you don't burn off your tires and lose more track position.
Right, yeah. Just in my experience of driving Indy cars, losing these tires very quickly causes these cars to be really tight. You lose so much time just trying to keep that car under control and out of the barrier. And tire conservation is the name of the game, racing these Indy cars at ovals.
Watching this battle right now for 7th, Elijah Gracia starting to roll up onto Spencer Owens. And Spencer Owens definitely a pretty good driver in the stock cars there in the Nork Series. But come over to the Indy cars, and this is Elijah Gracia's domain. So Elijah Gracia is starting to put the heat there on the number 1 of Spencer Owens. Usually that number 1 reserved for the season's champion from the season prior, but not the case here in the SRCA IndyCar World Series. Might be the case for future seasons, but I think this is actually the first season, at least with the IR18. I think previous seasons were run with a different chassis for the IndyCar. Cole might be able to correct me on that one.
Yeah, it was the DW12, I believe they ran last season, but Rick Rayvon, speaking of past champions and stuff, I think Rick's going to be a clear winner of the championship this year. He's got, I believe you mentioned, a 100-plus point gap to Daniel Falkingham in the points right now, and we're getting sort of into the late season or late part of the season. We've ran 9 of the 15 scheduled races, so it's going to be crunch time, especially. Oh, we got a yellow.
Caution is out.
Caution's out for Rafael
Sabara. Yep, out of turn 2, it looks like. We're going to go ahead and get a replay up on your screen. You mentioned the 120-point lead, though, for Rick Rayvon over Daniel Falkingham, who actually has missed some races, but Daniel Falkingham, with a couple of wins to his own, has actually put himself in a pretty darn good position as we roll into round 9 of 15. Going to get a replay, though, of what happens here to Sabara, and it looks like, well, out of 1, he was pretty tight and pushing that fence there, Emerson, and I have to wonder if the same thing happened to him out of 2.
Yeah, again, he had somebody behind him now, and that usually kind of helps out with the air, especially being the leader of a draft. But maybe it was just tires or a bad corner entry that really led him to get to that outside wall. But yeah, heavy contact with that wall, getting airborne. Not a good start to this race for Rafael Sabara.
So the Brazilian just gets tied at a turn 2 and ends up nailing that wall. Didn't even clip the apron or anything. I think just underestimated the wear on those Firestone tires and ends up knocking the wall down out of turn 2, going for a pretty wild ride actually. And thankfully that car doesn't turn over, but it could have been a whole lot worse. But still, the downforce I think held that car to the racetrack as best as it could. He's going to roll away and go ahead and grab that fast repair. He's already got that fast repair done, so you see that car has been repaired and is all good to go for the next 47 laps once we come around to the start finish line. But pit stops on the way here for the front of the field.
Yep, Rick Ray Vaughn's going to come into pit lane with David Shutt. David Shutt trying to get a little bit of an edge there. Oh, he did pass him on the left side, it looks like, entering pit lane. So those two are going to be drag racing down the pit lane. I believe David Shutt's pit is going to be before Rick Ray Vaughn, so it's going to be interesting to see if he can jump Rick here on the pit lane.
Yeah, pit lane's going to be busy. We've only been talking about tires all day long, so no doubt these guys need 4 fresh Firestones on these Indy cars. As you see, you're just kind of waiting to see how the order is on the pit exit here. Looks like Rick Ray Vaughan will come out as as the winner off the the winner of the race off of pit road. Words.
Oh, Rick, though. Oh, wait, never mind. I'm so confused with Pocono because usually on the iRacing service, you exit off the back straightaway, and I forget the cone is actually at the end of pit lane there. So it was a little bit unnatural for me to see Rick pull up onto the track so soon. But, yeah, David Shutt actually lost 2 spots there because of overshooting his pit. I believe Oldest Butaglis did the same thing.
Yeah, I saw a couple of cars have to back up on the pit lane and have to do some on-the-fly adjustments to their positioning there for the pit crews. Rafael Sabaro, worth noting, I think he might have stayed out or is getting sent to the back or something because he went up on the running order and then was still up there when these guys came out. Of course, I think he might have gotten the black flag for pitting a lap too soon. We'll have to see there. But the 65 at least has recovered and is still in the lead lap. Sometimes you see these guys get wrecked and even with a fast repair go a lap down, but not the case here, Cole, for Rafael Sabaro tonight.
Yeah, fortunately, he brought out the yellow there. Didn't have to tow, so he's going to be on the lead lap still. So luckily, that fast repair is going to save him, but he will be restarting later, or, well, further back in the field. Actually, just 1 spot behind of where he was, I believe, because he was near Justin Ford when that happened, but now Rafael goes to the back of the field.
Well, as these guys continue to pace under caution here, we're going to take one quick break. We'll be right back to you. It's currently lap 14, now lap 15 under caution. We'll be right back to you here for the restart of the SRCA IndyCar World Series Round 9 from Pocono Raceway.
Yeah.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Pit Stop TV for coverage of the SRCA IndyCar World Series. Rick Ravon, your leader under caution, getting ready to bring us to the green flag. Spencer Madden going to restart second place. Right behind him, Daniel Falkingham, who's won a couple of races on the season so far, up into third. David Shutt in fourth after losing a couple of spots on pit road. Elijah Garcia breaking into the top five. Nicholas Lovell holds strong in sixth. Then it's Aldous Puticlis, Will Klein, Scott Shire, and Jared Darling, your top 10. As these guys round turn 3 again, modeled after modeled after Milwaukee. There we go. We got that one out that time. Definitely an interesting corner to wrap up the lap there is Rick Ray Vaughn actually is down at the bottom of the racetrack for that restart. Definitely an interesting choice, not one that I expected.
Yeah, I think Rick's really trying to get away. He kind of went right as soon as the pace truck pulled off there, so that was kind of interesting. Spencer Madden in tow, though. He's got about a 2 to 3 car gap in between them, but it's side by side behind them. David Shutt getting the move on Daniel Falkingham heading through turn 1, and David Shutt's going to be looking on Spencer Madden trying to get that second spot back.
So Rick Ravon leading through turn 2 now off of the restart. Spencer Madden has David Shutt right in his mirror, and that's definitely not a friendly sight to see, obviously covering... well, the first time we had David Shutt on the channel was all the way back at Texas for the Nork IndyCar exhibition race call, and David Shutt definitely let his presence be known and certainly threw himself, literally into the grass a few times to try and make some passes on Nathan Lewis and some others in that race. And I think David Shutt cemented himself as one of the more aggressive drivers that we're ever going to see in an IndyCar, or any car for that matter, definitely making some wild moves a few weeks back.
Well, yeah, Spencer Madden even coined the nickname the Shuttinator for David just because of how aggressive he was solely in the Texas exhibition race that we saw. And David's proved in just any car, really, not just the Indy cars or really anything. Like, every car we've seen him in, he has proven that he will take it to the extreme, whether it means wrecking the car or getting the move done.
I'm sorry, boys. I was pushed to talk, but anyway, Daniel Falkingham, right before that caution came out, he was starting to push up a lot on corner exit, so I think that caution was very beneficial for him, and we'll see how aggressive he is on trying to overtake David Shutt.
So right now, I'm actually surprised that David Shutt hasn't made or tried to make a pass on Spencer Madden. That being said, of course, you got to work the draft, and a few drivers who were trying to do just that, actually. Will Klein starting to move his way up the racetrack and up the standings, up into 7th place. But Aldous Puticlis headed in the wrong direction on that restart, loses a position, back now into 8th place. Jared Darling, though, did the opposite. He's now up to 9th, and we could see something out of Jared. We've seen him win before here in an IndyCar. Some interesting circumstances back at Texas, though, in that Nork exhibition.
Yeah, Jared not running the 1 car like we usually see him. He's in the 10 car tonight. But going back up to Daniel Falkingham, Daniel's got a little bit of momentum going into this race. He won the Sim 500 Cup Series race at Dover this week. So that was a big momentum boost for him, and he's really trying to prove that he's got speed just in every car this week.
Yeah, and he definitely does have the speed right now, riding 4th, and is riding just here in the slipstream of Spencer Madden and David Shutt. So clearly can have a shot at 2nd place, and is just riding it out here up front. It's a long race as we work through the first third of our 60-lap event.
So the driver out of Maine doing a pretty good job right now. He did win Atlanta a few weeks back. Cole, I know you were in the field for that race. And, gosh, I got to think of the other race. It was Monza, actually, that Daniel Falkingham won in surprising fashion as well. He's made the switch, though, from the Alexander Rossi paint scheme over to what I believe is the Connor Daly paint scheme. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong there. The U.S. Air Force colors on that number 20 car. And I don't know if it's going to work out for him. You know, Alexander Rossi Napa paint was working pretty good for him there. And you never want to change the colors of a car if it's doing well for you.
Yeah, he kind of switched to that Connor Daly car, and his performance really hasn't slept off. He's been top 5 every time, and we got another yellow on the racetrack. That's going to be for, I believe, Spencer Owens, and there's a Tom Mercier on the back straightaway.
Tom Mercier destroyed here. We're going to get a replay on your screen and see what happened to him. As, yeah, Tom Mercier, definitely, that car has seen better days.
So it looks like Tom got the apron coming out of the tunnel turn, and once she got sideways, she was gone, overcorrected. and then slapped the left side on the wall and then started getting in the air a little bit. And I believe, he clipped Rafael Sabara. So that could have done damage to the number 65 machine, second incident of the night he's been a part of.
Yeah, I think that was mostly because he was kind of riding on the inside of the darkened groove on the racetrack, and there's usually a lot of oversteer that occurs if you're running right under that groove, and I think it just stepped out on him, had no time to really catch it.
So you see what happens here for Tom Mercier. We rode on board with him once, and now I want to ride on board of that Rafael Sabara machine as he does get clipped. It's hard to tell how much damage he got. It looks like maybe a little bit of floor pan damage that might be the worst, I think, and that's something you never want to have in an IndyCar. Of course, that affects your downforce pretty greatly, and that's something you definitely need here at Pocono to get some grip through the corners. And there you see he just gets blindsided, and definitely, I think, a little bit of damage. It's hard to say from the booth exactly how bad that car is going to be. It actually really does not look damaged at all. It's hard to say if that car even registered that contact or not. But that's a bit of an interesting thing about the sim. Sometimes you visually make contact, but you don't physically make contact, or sometimes you don't visually make contact, but you physically make contact. It's just part of prediction code.
Yeah, that prediction code can save you and it can hurt you. But going back to what we were mentioning earlier as we got pit stops on the track, you mentioned that Atlanta race. We will be seeing more of my car personally on the track because here in a few weeks I will be running a couple of the ovals with these guys. And I believe we even have a new series that I'm going to be kind of showcasing my road course skills in, even though I say I hate road courses.
So Rick Ray Vaughn going to lead the way out of the pit lane here, and Spencer Madden looks like going to just barely beat David Shutt off the pit lane for second place. He powers off and away. You see the Marlboro-esque colors powering away to second place, but actually in fourth, Elijah Gracia picking up several positions, it looked like, and he's going to move up into fourth place now. Will Klein actually picks up some spots as well. He's into fifth, but Daniel Falkingham in the wrong direction out of that pit stop. He's back to sixth. Nicholas Level into seventh. Aldous Puticlis now 8th. Caden Henry Oaks making his way into the top 10. He's now 9th. And Jared Darling 10th.
Yeah, it looked like Daniel had a bit of a slow stop there, so he's going to try to rectify his issues there and get back up through this field. But it'll be interesting to see how he paces himself because tire wear has been a factor so far, it looks like. So you really got to pace yourself coming back through the field.
Right, tire wear has been a factor, but if we keep getting these quick cautions, it might not be as big of a factor as it can be on some of these oval races, but we'll see what happens if we can start getting some longer green flag runs. Tires will definitely come into a factor should that be the case.
Yeah, definitely. These cautions are going to change the way these guys play the tire game. I think for most pit stops, you're still going to see these guys come down the pits and get 4 Mr. Feelgoods, 4 Firestones, as a few years back, actually, we had somebody on the broadcast who said 4 fresh Desert Eagles. Man, I wonder who that could have been. But not in the booth tonight, but we love Zach Lindgren. But regardless, Rick Ray Vaughn has those 4 fresh Firestones on the car, as does most of the field, actually. I'm looking back, and I don't see a single car that didn't come down the pit lane under that caution. Some even coming back down again. Justin Ford, Tom Mercier, and Howie DeTrey, some of those who came back down the pit lane a second time around.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of strategy on their part in case we get a long green flag running here. They'd have a little bit fresher tires by about a lap or two, and they'd also be topped off on fuel if this turns into a fuel mileage game.
Yeah, Howie DeTrey and Tom Mercier, they did the same thing on the last caution. They pitted on the 1 to go. They were able to catch back up to the queue of cars as they came through the short chute to turn 3.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, making that comeback on our Facebook page, getting active again over there with more and more broadcasts. Going to be broadcasting, well, tonight's the 3rd night in a row that we've been live. We won't be live tomorrow or Saturday, even Sunday. We don't have a planned broadcast in the works until Tuesday, when the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League takes to Virginia International Raceway in what should be a great testament of man and machine, or, well, virtual man and virtual machine. I guess it wouldn't even be virtual man and virtual machine. That makes a little more sense. Regardless, those guys going to take to Virginia International Raceway a twisting and turning jewel, I think, of Virginia is one way to put it. Definitely a very historic racetrack. And glad to see that it's on the service and getting some use there with those Michelin Pilot Challenge style cars, the Porsche 718 GT4 and Audi TCR. Should be a whole lot of fun. Cole, I know you'll be on the call for that one as usual. And Emerson, will have to get you on for one of those, but I think we're going to have Noah Carmichael back for that next week. That series, I think, has really turned into a lot of fun overall, and can't wait for more big things to come of that.
Yeah, Okoyama this past week was actually a really fun broadcast. If you haven't checked out that broadcast already, go ahead, check it out after we wrap up this race and the rest of the events we got tonight. But yeah, the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League, we really appreciate them welcoming us with open arms into their kind of realm, because they're a real-life racing league. So really with the coronavirus stuff, it was good for them to bring their stuff over to the sim and really take it as a professional deal. And we're just lucky enough to have the opportunity to call those races.
So
right, we worked
Go ahead.
We worked the one to go here. Rick Ray Vaughn is our leader over Spencer Madden, David Shutt, Elijah Gracia, Will Klein, Daniel Falkingham, Nicholas Lavelle, Otis Putiklis, Caden Henry Oaks, and Jared Darling are top 10. So getting ready to restart here.
Yes, Rick Ray Vaughn, that blue and white machine, leading since lap 2 or so, maybe lap 3. And just, I don't think he has any plans of looking back. That number 5 car has been lightning quick. Looking like win number 6, possibly. We still have 35 laps to go when we take the green flag this time by. But guys, we were joking about the possibility of him already having his 6th win in the bag before this race even went to qualifying, let alone green flag conditions. So Rick Ray Vaughn just putting on another great show so far. I say so far because, again, 35 laps to go when we take the green here this time by out of turn 3. Things could still get interesting. You see Spencer Madden, who might have something to say about that. He's restarting second. And again, an interesting line for Rick Ray Vaughn, taking the bottom side of the racetrack here on the restart.
Green flag.
Green flag is out. Rick Ray Vaughn kind of waited that time, unlike last restart where he just went ahead and went. David Shutt now to the inside of Spencer Madden, heading off into turn 1. That is Elijah Gracia behind them. David Shutt a little bit behind Spencer into turn 1, but he's going to get the run due to having the short way around. Actually, no, Spencer's going to stay even, almost get the pass done. Yes, he does. David Shutt still looking to the inside, though. Rick Ray Vaughn still leads.
Yeah, David Shutt, now he's stuck on that inside line. He's under attack now from Elijah Gracia. Actually, he'll clear him now. Falkingham on Gracia, looking for that 4th position, and cleared.
Through turn 3 now, Gracia gets shuffled out to the top of the racetrack. He's back to 6th and losing more ground. Now Lovell to his inside. A big gaggle of cars back here around the 10th place position. Will Klein going to move into 5th over Gracia. Now Lovell back into 7th. Putiklis, Caden Henry Oaks, and Jared Darling following them up. But up at the front of the field, the top 4 stay the same through that restart. It's just the rest of the field that's getting mixed up. And actually, some cars getting tight at turn 1 and losing some spots there again. These tires and the aero push not quite working to their advantage.
Yeah, this is really the first time we've seen a lot of cars side by side drafting off each other in kind of like a mini pack. So it's kind of interesting to see how those cars are going to aero wash up towards the outside wall. But it looks like everything's getting single filed now. New guys up in the top 10, though. Nobody really except for Tom Mercier. He's worked his way up through the field. He is going to be, I believe, 10th place at the line. Yes, he is. So Tom Mercier now into the top 10 behind all of these guys.
Yeah, you're going to see these guys start to single out after a couple laps. One, because there's just not many spots to gain so many laps after the restart now. But 2, these cars being so aero dependent and being in the pack, it'll just eat up those tires, and they're really going to try to conserve these tires. If we can go green to the end, it'll be quite of a run they're going to try to make.
I'm noticing something here on board with Tom Mercier riding in the 10th place position. With all that dirty air down in turn 1, he downshifted all the way to 4th gear, and he does it again here in turn 3. I've not seen that on really an oval where you have a normal setup. I've not seen that on an oval before in an IndyCar, I don't think. At least not be a usable gear. These guys all the way down into 4th gear, really surprising to me. I think they were, well, actually no, I think they were even talking about that at Chicago a couple of weeks ago. So I haven't seen it before that race, we'll say that. I haven't seen this nearly as often as we are now.
Well, the last time these guys really visited Pocono was the SRCA series, or the Pro Mazda series at the start of the season, which I won that race. But beside that fact, a lot of the guys in that field were used to just going flat out around that track. So really, this is kind of a switch up for them, really having to keep in mind what the air is doing to their cars and really having to lift and shift down. So it's not full throttle it's not a full throttle pack race like the Pro Mazda series was.
Yeah, these ovals shifting down really can help these cars kind of slow down just enough for them to make it through the corners and keep it as flat-footed as they can, because that is the name of the game, is keeping your momentum up through these corners. And as you see Falkenham on shut once again, this is for the 3rd position as he's trying to get that slipstream down to Long Pond heading into the tunnel turn.
Heading into turn 2, Falkenham far too far back to do anything there with the number 42 there, David Shutt. You're going to have to lay in waiting for right now as we're on board with him. And we're going to go ahead and give you some sights and sounds here of the SRCA IndyCar World Series. Go ahead and crank it up, turn the volume up, and listen to what these IndyCars are doing. And welcome back to Pit Stop TV. Go ahead and crank that volume button down, or I guess it'd be a volume knob. But you know, we were talking here under that little bit of a break, guys, and this just hasn't quite been what you might expect from some IndyCars at a big oval like this. Usually the race is a little more exciting, a little more not even carnage, just side-by-side racing like we are seeing right now. To be fair, with Nicholas Lovell and Aldous Pitcliffe, Aldous going to have to back out of the throttle there out of 2, but then Lovell, I think, is a little bit loose. Down to the bottom of the racetrack for a moment. Here comes Tom Mercier looking for a position possibly. That would be for 7th, but just not seeing the racing that we'd like to see here tonight. These guys getting very strung out, and Cole, you mentioned it might be a product of some higher track temps.
Yeah, Tom Mercier. Whoa, big move. They're going to be 3 wide heading into turn 1 here. It looks like Tom's going to get the spot. Oldest with the outside, though. Could get the run off the top coming out of turn 1. This is the battle for 6th place. And Nicholas Lavelle is going to try he's not going to try what Tom did, and he's going to stay in line with Oldest. So it's a little bit of a pack here, but for the most part, everything's strung out.
Yeah, it's something to see as these guys go double wide through the tunnel turn. I think partially it has to do with track temperature, but this is just a track like you've alluded to a lot, Andrew, already, with 3 different corners, and it just kind of requires kind of a different skill set to kind of go through each corner or to be a master of all three together. And I think it just allows these guys to kind of get spread out.
Yeah, I mean, the whole field pretty well spread out. Looking through the deltas to each car right now, and there's multiple tenths in between each pair of cars. I mean, you have a string of cars right here that's just kind of riding around, I guess. Will Klein up in behind Daniel Falkingham, and Falkingham's pretty darn close to Shutt, who actually is on the gearbox almost, to Spencer Madden. We could have a battle here for second place, but, I mean, otherwise, these cars, you know, we have this battle here that might be shaping up eventually, and then we had that battle there with Aldis, Lovell, and Mercier. Otherwise, this field very spread out, and not a whole lot is happening.
Yeah, it's a very spread out field. Spencer Madden and David Shutt, really the only battle is David's going to go to the inside in turn one. Looks like he might get the spot, and he does decisively. Spencer's going to get the run back off the corner due to the toe from David Shutt. David protects the inside, though. Spencer says, all right, you do that. I'm going to try the high side here, kind of stealing a page out of my book since we're teammates. But, yeah, Spencer really trying to work that high side through the tunnel turn.
Yeah, these two going side by side. They're not able to take the optimal line through the corners. And here comes Daniel Falkingham along with Will Klein. We'll make it a 4-car battle for the second position in the time that it takes to get down this front straightaway. They all snake down the front stretch to try to break the draft. And how about 3 wide on the way to turn 1?
So finally, that action picking up. Shutt went all the way down to the pit wall there for a moment. Falkingham now around the top side of Spencer Madden. They almost made some contact trying to work their way back up the racetrack, all the while being 3 wide and staggered by quite a bit. As Falkingham now going to close the door on Spencer Madden there. He was barely clear to do that, and Spencer, I think, might have just let him in and said, go ahead and do whatever you're going to do here. Go ahead and mess around with David Shutt. I'm going to try and cool my tires down. As Will Klein now working his way into the picture. He's going to try and go for 4th place here in a moment, I would imagine, on Spencer Madden, as Daniel Falkingham through to 3rd, and he's going to try to see what he can do with David Shutt.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Spencer's just trying to kind of conserve tires right now, because he's kind of been running a little bit of a lane off the bottom. So really, if you're running that bottom line, you're just really eating up the tires. So Spencer trying to find the line around the track. You got to steer the least so you can save those tires.
Yeah, we have 13 cars on the lead lap now. Tom Mercier into the pit lane as the battle for 4th continues to rage on. Will Klein now up to 4th.
So this battle just inside the top 10, I don't think is quite over just yet. Daniel Falkingham all over David Shutt still, and now Will Klein starting to work his way up the standings. And you know, Cole, we talk about Will Klein always being one of those guys that really saves his tires and makes sure he's around for the end of the race, and he's doing just that right now. He's now working his way up in the draft, up to Daniel Falkingham, now goes to the inside. He's looking to the inside of that 20 car. They get right next to each other there, wheel to wheel through turn 1, but Daniel Falkingham going to hold on for now, as Will Klein not going to have the run out of the corner, and he's going to fall back in behind Falkingham down the straightaway.
Yeah, it looked like Daniel had the run on the outside, which is kind of interesting because that middle groove seems to have a little more grip in the turn 1, because we have not been able to see the low line pass get made. But Daniel really needs to pace himself here. He's second in the points right now, and with that big of a gap that Rick Ravon's put on everyone, he really has to start running well, or else he's just going to be out of contention. So in your mind, you really got to pace yourself and think, is it really worth battling this guy if he's got better tires than me? As we see Will Klein go back to the inside, now going to have a little bit of a sniff of the toe off of David Shutt. Could get the move done here. He will is going to slide up in front of Daniel Falkingham. That is for the 3rd position on the racetrack.
Will Klein has been on absolute rails, moving his way up through this little pack. Now he's looking to get up to the 2nd position as he closes the gap with the use of the slipstream on the way to the tunnel turn, and now down the short chute to turn number 3. Falkingham would be wise to kind of just ride behind, maybe follow the 48 to see if he can get up to the 42 of David Shutt.
So 4-car line here battling for the back 4 positions of the top 5. Rick Ravon off to a almost 5-second lead with these guys battling in his mirrors. Actually, I don't think they're even in his mirrors anymore. Rick Ravon pretty well clear of that battle, but Will Klein now to the inside of David Shutt. He's going to try and go for 2nd place, and he's going to get it at least for a moment. I think he cleared David Shutt there, and David Shutt ended up coming back down the back straightaway. No, sorry, a different car. I was totally wrong there. Totally messed that call up. But David Shutt back down to the bottom side of Klein, pushes him up the racetrack a little bit, leans on him a tiny, tiny bit. Will Klein, though, clears him up out of the corner, and now down into turn 3. Will Klein has him pretty well cleared by a couple of car links through the center of turn 3, and is going to start to power away and see if he can try and chase down Rick Ray Vaughn. But a 5-second gap, that's going to be tough to do.
Yeah, definitely a tough gap to make up. And you got the 2 lap cars of Tom Mercier and Elijah Grossi up in front of them. So that could be hurting the clean air that's going to be on Will's car. But Will, this is kind of his whole deal. He's one of the best at saving tires, and he's really proving it right here because he saved tires most of this run as David Shutt now back to the inside. They're going to be side by side through the tunnel turn. Will holding strong on the outside. It's going to be tight off the corner. Will still dead even with David Shutt.
Yeah, you can see just how much of a factor slipstream plays into these battles, as you saw Will Klein when he moved up to this pack up until he got to the second position as David Shutt comes to pit lane, along with, I believe, Spencer Madden. So we'll see how that shuffles them into the running order once they come out. Daniel Falkingham now looking at Will Klein for second. When do they come to the pit lane is the next question.
So pit stop starting. We saw Tom Mercier and Elijah Grossi and some others dip down the pit lane and start to fall down the running order. Now Shutt and Madden going to join them down at the bottom of the standings. Howie DeTrey is also back there. He's actually in ninth. Give him about 13 cars left running. So 4 have pitted. Howie DeTrey, the last car that I guess is still on your current strategy of not quite pitting just yet. Rick Ray Vaughn going to actually come down the pit lane right now. I was going to say he was going to roll by the start-finish line one more time, but he's coming down the pit lane. He's getting his service. And we still Will Klein, Daniel Falkingham, more drivers coming down the pit lane for service.
And Will Klein could have made up a little time there on Rick Ray Vaughn. I saw him coming in really hot into the pit lane, so it's going to be interesting to see if Will tries to undercut Rick by taking less fuel on this pit stop. Definitely both cars going to take 4 tires, I would assume, but yeah, we're getting late into the stages here, so it's going to be interesting how this pit strategy shakes out with, I believe, 16 laps to go.
That is true. The 5 of Rick Ray Vaughn is down and away as he leaves his competition off the pit lane. Here comes the 48 of Will Klein as well. We'll see where they merge into traffic.
Nicholas Lovell for the moment going to take over the race lead. Aldis Puticlis not too far back of him though. They're going to continue on the racetrack. They don't pit this time. We'll watch the double O of Justin Ford to see what he does. And I think, yeah, he's going to stay out one more lap as well. So now we go back to Howie DeTrey, the last car yet to pit. He, again, rolls by the start-finish line for 15 laps to go. So your top 4 all on the same strategy, at least for the moment. Nicholas Lovell, Aldis Puticlis, Justin Ford, Howie DeTrey, they have not taken their final pit stop of the race, it looks like, as we restarted with just 1 more to go. So these guys still have to pit at some point if they want to make it to the end of the race. The rest of the field has pitted. Rick Ray Vaughn has cycled out into your lead so far over David Shutt, Will Klein, and Spencer Madden. So once these 4 cars at the front pit, they will resume in first, second, third, and fourth, respectively.
Yeah, I'm wondering if those 4 cars at the front of the field right now are just kind of waiting for everybody to pit here. Nicholas Lavelle still leads them. Aldis Puticlis in second. Justin Ford, I believe, is still on the track, and Howie DeTrey is still on the track as well. So they're staying out another lap. Really, they're trying to push how long these cars can go on a tank of fuel, I believe.
One of the heavyweights in that battle for second, Daniel Falkingham, now out of the race. I'm not quite sure what happened on that round of pit stops, but it looked like it was terminal for the 20 car.
I noticed Sabara is also out of this race, it looks like, as Will Klein sets your fastest lap of the race so far, 43.893, as he actually made a pass there on that lap over David Shutt to get second place back once this cycles out. It's for 6th for now, but that will change. So we're down to 11 cars running with the departures of Rafael Sabara and Daniel Falkingham, and then 65 and 20 cars respectively. But we're still waiting to see when these leaders come down the pit lane. This time by, well, no, Nicholas Lovell now through turn 1, Puticlis following. Ford and DeTrey also still on the racetrack. 13 laps to go, coming to 12 to go this time by as Lovell rounds turn 2. You have to wonder how far these guys can go, Cole.
Yeah, I definitely think these guys are trying to stretch it as long as they can, but I just don't see them making it anywhere close to the end of this race. I have been proved wrong before as Nicholas Lavelle is slowing down.
He's pitting.
Lane now. Aldis Puticlis is going to take over the lead, get that bonus point for leading a lap. And Justin Ford, I think, is going to stay out as well, along with Howie DeTrey.
Yeah, we're going to see Howie DeTrey does stay out as well. So the top three have yet to pit. Rick Ray Vaughn is going to be moving up into the 4th position now. He has a 3-second gap or 4-second gap over to 48 of Will Klein.
And Nicholas Lovell going to get his service. To see him there in the pit lane. Started 6th. He worked up into the lead, led a few laps by virtue of that pit strategy. I don't think it's going to work out for the race win, but still gets himself on TV a little bit and leads some laps. So not a bad strategy overall. Aldis Puticlis now coming to 11 laps to go, but I'd expect to see him come in this time or next time by. Not sure how far these guys can go on to take a fuel, though. He's going to stay out on the racetrack at least one more time. Now 11 laps to go for your leader in the 666, Aldis Puticlis. Justin Ford rolls by the start-finish line one more time as well. We'll see what Howie DeTrey does, and he's going to decide to do the same thing. He stays out on the racetrack, so Rick Ray Vaughn only 20 seconds back of your leader now, Aldis Puticlis, and he is gaining, so tires definitely proving to be key right now. Even if these guys were to go to the end, I think Rick Ray Vaughn might catch up to some of them.
Yeah, it's just a matter with where the tires balance out or if they do at all. But Aldis, Justin Ford, I know Justin Ford for a fact and Howie DeTrey, they both topped off on the last pace lap we had under the last caution, so they're really able to stretch it a little bit longer than most of these guys. But it's going to be interesting to see when they actually do pit because we're within 10 to go now, so it's going to be interesting to see if Aldis can stretch it just a couple more laps.
I, too, am interested to see if Aldis can stretch it. Kind of brings you to question, how were they running from the restart? Because if they were running kind of out of the pack, kind of in clean air, and they've been conserving their tires, and are they able to go 10 more laps in this race? You see Puticlis has an 8-second advantage over Justin Ford and has no lap cars in front of him, so there's no dirty air getting to that front of that car, and he can run that car as smooth as he can to try to conserve those tires.
He stays on the racetrack one more time. Now 9 laps to go over Aldis. So even if he comes in this time, he's only 8 laps shy of the finish. I have to wonder what these guys were doing through that green run to try and stretch this fuel out. That being said, that lap alone, Aldis Puticlis lost 3 seconds, or no, I think over the course of 2 laps he lost 3 seconds. As Howie DeTrey down the pit lane. So we're now down to just 2 cars who have not pitted, Aldis Puticlis and Justin Ford. Howie DeTrey down for service, the number 34 car coming into his pit stall now.
Yeah, looking at the last 2 lap times there, Rick Ray Vaughn ran a 44.094 to Aldis Puticlis' 45.272, so about 1 second and 2/10 of a gap in between those 2 lap times. So I don't know if Rick would get there just based on the lap time alone, but it's definitely going to be a close one to see if Aldis can try to stretch it.
Aldis stays out another time by the start-finish line as trying to see Justin Ford. He also has stayed out. And now the gap to Rick Ray Vaughn from Aldis is 15.5 seconds, but Aldis actually gaining on Justin Ford. So if these two are trying to make it to the end, it looks like Justin may be just conserving a little bit more than Aldis is.
Yeah, you have to wonder what their goal now is. You know, are they trying to wait on a late race caution or trying to go to the end of the race? Because I don't know if they're going to make it all the way to the end. It's a lot of laps to go. I think that's well outside of the range of laps that they can turn, but Aldis Puticlis stays on the racetrack one more time. Now 7 laps to go. Now even if he pits, he'll be only 6 laps shy. So you have to wonder, he's getting closer and closer to hitting that fuel number. This might be an interesting play for the race win. I don't know if he can do it. I think he's going to have to come in by about 5 to go, but certainly Aldis Puticlis showing that he's trying something at least.
Yeah, Aldis really taking a big gamble here, and usually we don't see fuel gambles at Pocono unless it's a Cup Series race, but here in the IndyCars, Aldis definitely taking a huge swing at it, and it would definitely pay off for him. Aldis really one of the top guys of the Pro Mazda Series we cover on Thursday nights every other week.
And there he
Aldis
goes.
is now pitting, so that's going to hand the race lead over to Justin Ford unless he pits, and he does not, so the tie-dye machine of Justin Ford with the smiley face helmet now going to take the lead for the first time, I believe, this season.
Yeah, I think these guys, they are figuring out that they have to do something dire, something big if they're going to try to get a win in this series, as we're 7 races in and only 2 winners to date. Some of these guys, they're getting a little desperate for some victories, and they'll try anything.
Yeah, that they will. Is Justin Ford actually behind a lapped car there? I'm not exactly sure who that is. One of the newer paints to the series. That might be Shire, actually. No. So.
That's Howie.
Oh, Howie DeTrey. What do you know? So Howie DeTrey up in front of Justin Ford as we watch to see what he's going to do this time around turn 3. And he stays out. So 5 laps to go now for Justin Ford, but he's only got 5 seconds over Rick Ravon. So that gap has narrowed quite a bit. It was 7 seconds a few laps ago, and it's now down to under 5, 4.5 as they round turn 1. 5 laps to go. I don't know if he's got the fuel to do it. Even if he does, he's going to lose a lot of time to Rick Ravon.
Yeah, Justin's definitely backed off his pace. I've seen him running about 170, so usually these cars can handle a little bit more speed than that around the corners, but Justin's really backing off his pace, trying to save as much fuel as possible.
At one point during this green flag run, Rick Ravon had, a 5-second advantage to second place, but ever since Will Klein got into, the theoretical second position, as Justin Ford comes to pit lane, and he's onto the racing track.
And a caution! Oh my, I didn't think I'd see it. I really did not think I would see it, but Justin Ford brings out that late race caution. Just think, if Oldest Puticlus had stayed out another lap and a half, he might have the race lead right now going into this final, what we expect to be the final caution. Could get a green-white checkered even. But Justin Ford loops it, trying to slow it down for the pits, and we're going to get a replay on your screen of what happens here to the double O machine.
And honestly, this could save Justin, because I'm not sure if we do actually have a green-white checkered here, but he could save enough fuel to actually run it all the way to the end.
Yeah, I think just coming down to pit road speed there was just a little too high. I mean, these cars are going so fast off of that corner. Well over 170 as he was coming down to pit road speed. He might have hit a bump trying to downshift, maybe wheel hopped. A lot of things can go wrong on pit entry. Just so treacherous almost anywhere you go in almost any racing series, but especially IndyCars at Pocono.
And Cole, this one definitely not intentional. That's the last thing Justin Ford wanted to have happen, but if it had been intentional, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen that. These late race cautions by just a car randomly looping it out of turn 3, something you and I have seen before. I won't name any names or anything like that, but definitely, I mean, I was kind of waiting to see if anyone was going to have anything happen, and finally something happened, but you have to wonder if they had gone another lap green or so, would somebody have possibly tried to even just get into a harder battle? And it's actually, Rick Ravon stopped right there for the pit lane and
collects Spencer Madden on pit lane.
Oh my gosh, I was going to say, yeah, Rick Ravon kind of came to a stop. Well, not came to a stop. He checked up quite a bit for pace speed, or pit speed there, and Will Klein and David Schutt just ran smack in the back of him.
Yeah, I think he got into the brakes a little quicker than those two anticipated, but that absolutely destroyed the front end of Spencer Madden's car. If he has a faster pair left, that's good news for him, but if he doesn't, that might not end well for him.
Spencer will definitely have his faster pair, so luckily for him, he will get the damage fixed. Spencer definitely wanted to always save that faster pair because he's always more cautious when it comes to using it, and will definitely use it towards the end of a race if he does have damage. And so definitely going to take it there, but that just cost him all of his track position, so he's going to see red as we go back green here.
And riding on board to see what happened, and Rick kind of just slows down, and Schutt and Klein just hit him. And I think Schutt got on the brakes so hard that it spun him around, obviously, and Spencer Madden nowhere to go and trying to get that car righted. It just would not cooperate, and he's going to lose a ton of time. Finally gets it rolling here. You see on the replay on board with him, and the driver out of Ohio, you said it, Cole, going to be seeing red after that one. I guess it's a good thing that he was already seeing red, given the red on his paint scheme. But regardless, I digress. I'll stop with the jokes. Spencer Madden all the way back into 8th place now. He would have been about 4th, I think, had that not happened.
Yeah, so Oldest Puticlus is going to be left the race leader here. That alternate strategy he was working with Howie DeTrey and Justin Ford kind of working out, mainly because of Justin Ford's mistake. He made the same mistake David Schutt had there on the pit lane. The rears just locked up, pitched the car sideways, and spun it out. So Oldest going to see if he can't win one here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the restart goes. We're gonna have two to go here. I believe we are waiting on a green-white checkered. Yep, we are gonna get a green-white checkered attempt here. We'll see if Oldest will be able to fend off Rick Ray Vaughn, who's just been so fast all day. However, Rick Ray Vaughn has been in clean air all day. Can he do it from second place with the dirty air off the race leader?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Of course, single file restarts as we've seen so far tonight, and that's certainly going to play into things. Granted, Aldis rather is going to have the choice of when to go, but he does have those warmer tires. About 3 laps on those tires, nothing too crazy. But it's going to be interesting to see. You know, on one hand, again, Aldis has older tires, but as you mentioned, Emerson, Rick Ray Vaughn going to be mired back there in some dirty air on this restart. We are going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back to you, though, from Pocono Raceway with hopefully the conclusion, without another caution here to get in the way of things, of the SRCA IndyCar World Series race 9 of 15 from Pocono.
We got big-time problems with that motor, buddy. Hey, just between you and me, the idea is to avoid the other cars. Congratulations! You just set the sport back 30 years with that move. That move will put you in the Hall of Shame. You keep doing stuff like that and we're going to lose our sponsor. Looks like that's it for us today. Now I know why you got canned by your old team. It's over. We can't fix that damage. Your car is toast. You'll need a tow back to pit lane. Press and hold your reset button and we'll come and get you.
Well, welcome back to Pocono Raceway. Already back as these guys head down the back straightaway. Somebody's on the rev limiter. Definitely, I think, trying to waste some fuel, lighten the car. I'm not sure if that's Oldest or Rick Ray Vaughn, actually. But somebody towards the front of the track, or some of the, front of the field. Will Klein, that would do it. I was going to say, Will Klein might also be doing it. So these guys trying to use a little bit of fuel up and try and lighten the load a little bit. And we'll see if it works out. Will Klein pegs the limiter there again. We'll see if it works out for him. As these guys coming down to green, white, checkered. So if you aren't familiar with oval racing's green, white, checkered procedure, you get just that, a green flag for one lap, then the white flag for the final lap, and then a checkered flag to end the race. So just a 2-lap restart. They call it green, white, checkered because that's the sequence of flags that you'll get as these guys, all except for Rick Ray Vaughn, go to the, Oldest through the middle and Rick following him. Here through turn 3, getting ready to restart from Pocono Raceway. For a green, white, checkered, Oldest Puticlis leads the SRCA IndyCar World Series across the start-finish line.
Oldest with a pretty good jump over Rick there, though. It's going to be interesting to see if Rick can drop back up to him. We saw him make the move early on Spencer Madden, who's been mired back in the field with David Shutt. Will Klein looking on the outside, though, seeing if he can't get a run. Rick actually goes up the track a little bit, but Oldest holding the lead down as they head down the back straightaway.
Yeah, this is definitely Will Klein's time to shine. He hadn't had a go at Rick Ray Vaughn almost all race, just being in that little pack for most of that last run, and now he has a shot at him. Is he actually faster than Rick Ray Vaughn? Is Rick Ray Vaughn going to the inside of Puticlis as they head into turn number 3?
Rick Ray Vaughn makes that one look easy, goes right by Oldest Puticlis, and I think that's just maybe a difference in tires. I can't imagine what else it would be. I guess the draft as well. As Rick Ray Vaughn going to take the lead and cross the stripe for the white flag. The field snaking down the front straightaway. Will Oldest try and strike back down the back straightaway? If he can get a run out of one, it's going to take a lot, though, because he had a terrible turn one right there. He backs all the way up to Will Klein, and these guys literally snaking down the straightaway, bobbing and weaving. Will Klein to the outside of Puticlus.
Will on the outside trying to get second. They're going to make it looked like they almost made contact, but Will Klein now trying to catch Rick Ravon too far back. It looks like, though, Rick Ravon through turn 3 is going to bring it home, it looks like, without a challenge. 6th win of the season will be coming Rick Ravon's way. He wins it here at Pocono tonight.
With the fastest lap of the race as well, a 43.737 on that last lap. Rick Ravon get a win here from Pocono. Emerson, what a finish.
Yeah, that was wild. With that being said, there was also a photo finish, I believe, for the 3rd position. Otis was still able to hold on to 3rd over Nicholas Lavelle. That looked like it was going to be tight coming off of turn number 3, as Rick Ravon he's been the fastest guy all day. And when he had the opportunity, even from the 2nd position, he was able to get it done.
Well, he's going to come back around and he's going to celebrate. And we always like talking to Rick. He's one of the more enthusiastic drivers, especially post-race, regardless of what happens. And we're going to see how he burns it down here tonight as we go through your unofficial race results. Beginning with your top 10, of course, going to be, well, Rick Ravon winning tonight, Will Klein P2. Aldous Puticlus comes home by about 3.5 hundredths of a second over Nicholas Lovell for 4th place, for 3rd place, rather. As Spencer Madden going to come home in 5th, Justin Ford 6th, Elijah DeGracia recovers for 7th place, David Schutt for 8th, Scott Shire moves up into 9th, and Howie Detroit 10th, Cole.
And then Tom Mercier is going to be 11th, 17 laps down. Rafael Sabara is 12th. Daniel Falkingham 13th. Spencer Owens 14th. Jared Darling 15th. Caden Henry Oaks 16th. Sheldon Lockie unfortunately didn't get to start the race. And then, well, you see me and Emerson rounding out the field there.
So we are going to go ahead and get a hold of race winner Rick Ravon real quick for an interview. We'll see if we can't talk to the driver of the 5 cars. Actually, wow, the whole field. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say the whole field, but already 3 cars or 3 drivers in your interview waiting booth pretty quickly. As Cole, I believe you're already trackside here with Rick Ravon.
Rick Ravon, another outstanding win. You take your 6th of the season. Walk us through those last 2 laps.
Oh boy. Oh man, those, they were pretty intense. I mean, I knew that first of all, Will Klein got the pole, and I don't know why he started in the back. Maybe he just wanted a challenge, but I saw him, I knew he was back there. I knew he was going to be tough. So I knew that I had to get by Aldous. I got his name right. Aldous. I knew I had to get by him and then try to break the draft if I could, but Will is very cunning. So I didn't know if I was going to be able to break that draft or not, but by the time I got by Aldous, Will and him were side by side, and I was like, oh, that's good. Let them fight it out, because I just wanted to drive away, but he got around him, and then I thought, okay, well, he's going to try to reel me in, but just tried to break the draft. That's why I was doing the Ravon snake, what I call a Ravon snake. The regular snake is just go down and up once. Ravon snake, you kind of go back and forth a little bit, trying to break the draft a little extra, but it just all worked out, and I'm just so happy. I just can't believe it.
Well, it definitely did look like you were leading like a brand new dance craze down the back straightaway there. But you take your 6th win of the season. How is this momentum going to carry you forward into more of the IndyCar races?
I don't know. I hope it does. I mean, you never know what could happen here. But wait, somebody's coming in the room. Hi. Come here.
Kyle and I had it on in the living room.
Oh, thank you, honey. That's my wife. My wife, Alana. She's supporting me, and they were watching Pit Stop TV in the living room. They love the broadcast, guys.
We're so excited. Mila goes, "Don't go down. He's in the middle of an interview."
That's okay.
That's great. That's great.
I'm happy for you, honey. I love you.
I love you too, honey. Thank you for your support, baby.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I love you.
I love you. Dinner's on the stove.
Oh, dinner's on the stove. Okay. I'm sorry about that, guys.
Well, it looks like you might have some dinner, so we're going to let you get out of here. But before we do, who do you got to thank for the win tonight?
Well, mainly myself, because nobody drives the car but me. But I just want to thank, hang on, let me Let me take a look. Will Klein, you finished second. It was such a great job to come up from the back of the pack. I want to thank Aldous for racing nice and clean. In that last little shootout there, he didn't really move much, and I was really grateful for that. Also, Elijah for the league, of course. I'm grateful to be a part of this league. Got a lot of fun guys here racing. I'll tell you what, Spencer Madden. I want to thank him because he keeps us entertained during the race. He's just hilarious. And he also raced clean. Everybody raced clean. I mean, this was a great race. I expected more cautions, but I also want to thank the Lord, of course, certainly not least. Thank you, Jesus. And just thank all the people who are watching, everybody that tunes in, and thanks to Pit Stop TV. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you, Rick, for joining us up here. That was Rick Ravon, your race winner for round 9.
And I just want to say real quick to the Ravon family that's watching, do that more because that was great, and that was a great fourth wall breaker for us, and that's really cool to see the emotions even just of this race here, and it's great to know that you guys are watching back at home. So do that more often, every time, because it happens a lot when Rick wins, obviously. So do that more each time, please. That being said, we do have your third place driver queued up, and we'll be dragging him into the booth. Aldous Puticlis, do you have a copy?
Yes, I do, mate.
Well, Aldous, we saw you stay out there after just pitting a few laps prior, so obviously trying to see what you could do there on the restart, and unfortunately didn't quite go your way. What happened there on those final 2 laps?
I pretty much predicted it happening anyway, because Rick and Will, they know what they're doing more than me, so I just didn't want to go on the limit, because I couldn't vouch for not making any mistakes, so I thought third is good enough for my value.
Well, you do come home third there in a pretty tight battle with Nicholas Lovell, but none of that would have been set up without that late race caution. And Aldous, I mentioned it, you were only about a lap and a half shy of possibly being your race leader when that when that caution would have come out. What were you thinking there? Obviously, you made that pit stop pretty late going in the run, trying to maybe wait on that caution, and then just a lap and a half later, you finally get that yellow.
I was pretty much banking on it, actually. Yeah, that's why I had half a lap left when I pitted, so I was actually thinking that somebody will make a mistake on pitting, so yeah, played up pretty well.
Well, it does actually give you a net gain at the end of the night, but as we look forward to the Pro Mazda Series next week at, Lime Rock, I've heard there's been a bit of a rocky road. Unfortunately, we've missed the last 2 Pro Mazda races going back to Laguna Seca and Road Atlanta. Tell us about how those weeks have gone for you and how you're gearing up for Lime Rock.
I will race like I always do, fair and clean. It's just if the others will keep it clean, because there are some drivers like McIntyre, who is like a train driver who once he's pushed off the line, of the racing line, he doesn't know what to do anymore and makes mistakes.
Well, I love that emotion there. That's definitely a strong opinion about how things have gone the last few weeks. Can't wait to see how it goes at Lime Rock in just a week's time. Who do you have to thank, though, tonight for your P3 run?
Oh, thank you guys for broadcasting it. Elijah for putting the league on, and my team, Canadian Racing, of course.
Well, Aldous, hopefully your kinetic energy, the delivery just totally got messed up there. But hopefully your kinetic energy, got it that time, carries you to a pretty good finish next week at Lime Rock. I had that joke queued up in my head and totally just messed it up. But it's a thought that counts anyways. Aldous, hopefully we're talking to you next week at Lime Rock. I'm sure we will be.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
And so we'll go ahead and get rid of my jokes real quick as we turn it over to Emerson Ardon with your P5 interview, Justin Ford. P6 interview.
Hey, Justin, you got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
All right. Well, it was a 6th place finish. Somehow you did keep the car out of the wall, but what was going through your mind as the car was spinning onto the front straightaway on pit entry there?
I was just really hoping I didn't kill Rick or anybody else. I was not even really sure how it happened. It was kind of funny.
All right, yeah. I guess what does that say about pit entry here? You're going so fast coming off of turn number 3, and then it's just straight to pit road speed, which is, I believe, 55 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of tricky once you get down there, and I just got a little heavy on the brakes, panicked, and into the fray away I go.
So, but on the second to last caution, which was way early actually, or about halfway through the race, what was your game plan going through that stint? Did you expect it to go green all the way, or what was your mindset that made you stay out so long?
Yeah, it kind of seemed like nothing was really happening and everything was kind of boring. So I was like, well, no, I'm just going to just keep pitting as many times as I can under this caution. Hopefully I have enough fuel to make it to the end when everybody else has to pit, because I knew I was a lot slower than everybody else. So I figured I'd gamble with that.
So, how was your car handling today in the middle of the pack or in clean air? Just how was the car overall today, and then how was the pack racing against your fellow competitors?
You know, it was really good racing out in the back of the pack where I spent most of my time, and definitely you had a lot of aero push going into corners. So it was pretty tough, and it was just spending more time about not hitting the wall than anything else. Well, it was a 6th place finish today, but you did get some TV time. Who do you have to thank for giving you the opportunity to join us here in these races and a 6th place finish tonight? Yeah, I want to thank Elijah for putting on this league, and you guys for broadcasting. You guys do an awesome job, and I guess just thank the girlfriend for actually letting me do this tonight, not killing me tonight. So it worked out. All right, thank you so much, Justin, and thank you for being a class act with that too. Hey, thanks, guys.
So as we get Justin Ford moved back down with his team, got to thank everybody for the time here tonight. Always good to talk to the drivers after a race like that. Quickly though, post-race thoughts. Cole, Emerson, how was that one?
That was an interesting race for sure, but hopefully Rick can let somebody win for once. Everybody's probably sick of seeing his car out front.
Yeah, Rick is just as he was today. I can assume for the rest of the season, as this is my first race that I was able to kind of watch in its entirety. Rick has just been so dominant today, and even when he wasn't the leader, he just moved right through and right around Otis with such force that he just belonged up front. But overall, it was a great race, a strategic race there at the end. Very awesome to see different guys up there at the front trying out different strategies and ultimately trying anything they can do to win, because at the end of the day, it is a race and you're trying to win. And I'm just glad people are trying.
Well, absolutely. I think Rick Ravon is going to continue his tear through the season. And Emerson, got to, of course, thank you for spending your time up here with us tonight. We do have a race coming up in about a half hour. We'll be live in about 30 minutes or so. It's going to be the Unreal Sports Car Challenge from Summit Point as we take the GT4s and TCRs for the second race of the week tonight, at least here on Pit Stop TV with those same cars. Back to Summit Point. Lucky Dog was there just a few weeks ago, so we already have a bit of a preview as to how that action will unfold. But that will do it for our coverage tonight of the SRCA IndyCar World Series at Pocono Raceway. Pit Stop TV, thanks you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast. Join us next Tuesday as we head to Virginia International Raceway with the Lucky Dog Sim Racing League, or again, in about 30 minutes for the Unreal Sports Car Challenge from Summit Point Raceway. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/pitstoptv, on Twitter at pitstoptv_, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/pit_stop_tv, and on YouTube simply by searching Pit Stop TV and looking for one of our broadcasts. This has been Cole Freilich and Emerson Ardon with me on the call tonight. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV for Pit Stop TV, and we will see you next time.